All right. All right. Looks like everything's working fine. Oh, well, lots been happening past few days. It looks like it's finally happened. Someone finally got shot. Uh, young woman got herself killed the other day at one of these ICE protests in Minnesota. Obviously, anybody with a brain knew that eventually this was going to happen. All right, I'm going to watch this video. How's that? Oh, duh. Oh, duh. This one. Here we go. There, that should.
Miss Emily Heller. She lives on the street where the shooting happened, and she filmed video that we have here just now to share with you out front. It shows the chaos immediately after Renee Nicole Good was shot and killed by that ICE agent in Minneapolis hours ago. We're going to play it for you. I do want to warn you that it is graphic.
Can I go check a pulse?
No! Back up! Now!
I'm a physician!
Hey, listen,
we understand. We got EMS coming, and I get it. Just give us a second.
We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they? How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor. You caught butter in the face. You killed my neighbor. How do you show up to work every day? How the do you do this every day? You're killing my neighbors. You're stealing my neighbors. What the man?
Those neighbors were getting in the way of ICE agents doing their job. And they're not stealing your neighbors. Those neighbors that they're stealing are illegal immigrants and they got to go back home. This isn't their home.
Emily Heller is out front now, who you heard there and filmed that in that horrifically traumatic moment. So, Emily, I know you live there. This is your street. This is your home.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just
Oh,
by
look at that.
thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
And you're inside your house. You hear all of this commotion. Everything is starting to happen. Okay, can you tell me what happened then? You hear everything. You come outside, and then what?
I hadn't even gotten dressed. I was making breakfast. I went out. I heard the commotion. I heard whistles, which is a common sign of ICE is nearby. And
So see, this is something that they know. They know about it. They're all in on it. Even the neighbor. She knows about it. It's all planned. Dog, will you quit whining?
I went out onto my front porch. I didn't even have shoes on, and within 60 seconds, everything had already gone down. But there was an ICE convoy that seemed to be stuck, and then there was a protester who was blocking traffic, so they couldn't progress. And she was totally peaceful. And
Except you just admitted she was blocking traffic. So she wasn't just totally peaceful. She's getting in the way. She's purposefully being obnoxious and annoying and putting other people's lives in danger.
ICE, it seemed completely unorganized. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were screaming at her to move, move, move. And then they approached her vehicle aggressively and tried to open her door. And then that's when she got spooked, and she reversed her vehicle to turn her wheels to try to escape. And that's when an ICE agent stepped in front of her vehicle and said, "Stop." And then, she was already moving, and then point blank shot her through her windshield in the face.
I can't imagine what it was to see that, Emily. The way that you are laying this out, though, I just want to repeat and make sure that I'm clear, and please correct.
What do you expect to happen if you're in a situation with the police? You think you can just drive off? Like they tell you to stop. There's police officers all around your vehicle. There's one in front of your vehicle. And you think you're just going to drive off. Even if the lady wasn't purposefully trying to run over a police officer, which personally I don't think she was. I think she was freaking out, and she made some really bad choices. She made really bad choices leading up to the situation. She made bad choices during the situation and all the way through until the very end. And now she doesn't get to make any decisions anymore at all.
Correct me if I say anything wrong. You're saying that what you saw was disorganized ICE, but then when they tried to get her to stop, she got spooked. She reversed her car to turn her wheels to get away, and that was when the officer stepped in front.
They were telling her to leave.
That's not true. That's not true. The wheels were already spinning before the officer even pulled the gun, and you can see it in the video. Let's bring it back here. Let's see.
Blocking traffic, so they couldn't progress.
A little bit more here. Here we go. Now look at the wheels.
Move. And then they
She's backing up. Now they're spinning out before you can see his arm come out while they're spinning up.
to turn her wheels
And they were not pointed to the right when he pulled his gun. And obviously this thing happened so fast. You know, he doesn't have time to decide, oh, she doesn't mean to actually hit me or not. This is what I'm saying. She made the wrong choices all the way up to the very end. It was none of this had to happen. It was completely avoidable. Completely avoidable. She should still be alive today at home with her children.
blank shot her through her windshield in the face.
I can't imagine what it was to see that, Emily. The way that you are laying this out, though, I just want to repeat and make sure that I'm clear, and please correct me if I say anything wrong. You're saying that what you saw was disorganized ICE, but then when they tried to get her to stop, she got spooked. She reversed her car to turn her wheels to get away, and that was when the officer stepped in front.
They were telling her to leave. They were telling her to move, and then all of a sudden they were seemed like they were trying to get her. So they were telling her to move, and then in a split second they were saying they were trying to get her out of the car. So it was like,
right, and that's why I'm saying, like, I don't believe the woman intentionally was set out to run over the officer, but running over the officer would have been a secondary order effect of the actions that she was taking. She was freaking out at that time, at this point. But whether she's doing it on purpose or she's just freaking out, none of that matters. None of that matters because the second order effect would have been an officer. He could have got ran over. He could have been the one killed. This happens all the time. Officers get struck by cars and they get seriously injured, and in some cases die.
she was trying to move once they were.
A vehicle is a deadly weapon. A vehicle is a deadly weapon in the hands of a person who's making all bad choices. That vehicle is just as deadly, if not even more so, than a firearm.
Trying to get in her car. She was, of course, she wanted to leave at that point. They were extremely aggressive. Yeah.
She would have been scared, obviously. You know, President Trump, as you know, he posted a video saying that it's lucky the ICE agent was alive. And I just want to be clear, the ICE agent is walking afterwards, and we know that from anything that he had in the hospital, he's fine and he's out. But President Trump posted.
Stood there.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you're going to say about what he did afterwards.
Oh, he just stood there. The other ICE agents surrounded him. He was obviously spooked too. I mean, they seem like children. They seem like untrained people.
These are not children. These are not children. These are men. These are serious men with training and firearms. And if you threaten their lives, they are going to end your life. If you do not follow orders, if you are a threat to themselves or the people around you, they're going to put you down. They're going to put you down. This isn't a game. This isn't a game. This isn't Star Wars. You are not resistance ready. That was an old meme. Some of you might not remember it. Are you going to go out, dog? You've been whining. Go ahead. The door's open. Did you just want to let the cat in? Is that what was going on? All right. Okay. The cat's in. Are you happy now? Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, resistance ready. You're not resistance ready. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're doing.
And so that agent was obviously spooked because he had just killed someone, and it was very obvious to everyone who had witnessed it all that she would not make it. And so they kind of gathered around him, and then there was a gold SUV that came, and they put him in it and got him out of there because everyone knew he had murdered someone.
So President Trump says the woman was disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. He shared a video of the incident from a different angle. What's your response to that version of events?
I mean, that's the only reason why I'm here. I don't think I'm the most articulate person. I don't think that I don't want to be here, but I knew that this would be twisted and it would be self-defense, and that's absolutely not what happened.
It absolutely is what happened. You can see it on the video. You have a right to defend yourself if someone's trying to run you over. You don't have in that split second moment. You do not have the luxury of hindsight of 2020. All you know is that the car is coming at you. The wheels are spinning. It hasn't already run you over because the wheels are spinning, because the road is icy. If the road wasn't icy, that before he had even gotten the gun completely out of that holster, he would have been under that hood or under that tire. And you can know that by watching the video. You can see the tire spinning. You can see it spinning before he even gets his gun out. And it's spinning because of the ice. She's got her foot rammed down on the accelerator, and the drive wheel is spinning on the ice.
But it's just my life is forever changed from having witnessed this, and I just can't let this narrative that it was self-defense go any further.
Yeah, because she's already on their side. She's not impartial. She already knows. I guarantee it.
Because it's absolutely not what it was. And yeah, my neighborhood, my neighbors, we're all going to be pretty traumatized from this for a long time.
When in that video that you shared with us that I just played, the 34 seconds, you're obviously incredibly distraught, and there's a doctor next to you or near you. We can hear him saying, "I'm a physician. I can help," and they say, "No, we have our own medics." But the doctor is there offering to administer CPR, standing right there. I don't want you to have to relive what you were looking at when the horror of her death, but how did agents respond to him? Was there a speed and a desperation in trying to get any sort of assistance to her? Because it didn't sound like that from what you gave us.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him near, and they said they had their own medics that were.
Yeah, they have to do that. It's a liability issue. If we didn't live in such a litigious society, they wouldn't have to do that. Quit suing McDonald's for spilling coffee in your own fucking lap is what I'm trying to tell you. If people didn't do shit like that, they would have been able to allow that doctor to go see her. But they can't do that. They can't do that anymore. They have to have their guy come and see him. Even if they're like an hour away and you're right there, they can't let you near. Those are just the rules. You get the society you live in the society that you create.
Were on their way, which it was. I mean, I don't know. It was at least 15 minutes before the ambulance arrived, and then the ambulance couldn't even get through because the ICE agents had all abandoned their vehicles in the road, so the ambulance couldn't get through. So they parked at the end of the block, and about.
Imagine that. Imagine seeing what happens when people just park their cars in the road and block traffic. And these ICE agents, they weren't doing it on purpose. They had to secure the scene. They had to secure the scene because this lady decided to come down here and get in their way. This lady made all bad choices. What was she even doing there in the first place? This lady has children. Why was she not at home with her children?
About five paramedics came in and examined her for. I didn't see this.
And that's another thing. Where is the father? Where's the father of these children? Why did this father let this woman go down there? That's a good question. Why did this father? He should be her husband. I don't think he is, but he should have been. And he should have been there stopping her from doing what she's doing. Instead, she was with some lady, it looks like. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it looks like this lady wasn't doing the job of a husband. She was doing the job of a woman.
But
That's a whole nother
they were with
subject.
her for a few minutes, and then they carried her limp body away by her limbs, not even on a stretcher.
Yeah, they couldn't get the stretcher to her. Everything's blocked. It's a big mess. Congratulations at the mess that you made.
Just carried her down to the end of the block where they could get a stretcher because they couldn't get through with their ambulance.
Emily, I appreciate your talking about this. I know it has to be incredibly difficult, and I think everyone understands why you're choosing to do it, to make sure people understand exactly what it is that you saw and documented, and I appreciate your being willing to do it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Joey, you heard what Emily had to say, and you know, she said, I don't want to be here, but I'm here because I want everyone to know what I saw, and she's very clear about what she saw.
Listen, it's got to be a very traumatic experience. What I'm concerned about, though, is the nature of the investigation. Let's be clear that there are going to be, of course, local officials investigating this, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, in addition to the federal government. In the event that there's anything federal here, of course, then Trump would have the power to pardon. We're not there yet. There's not been a prosecution. There's not been an indictment. There's not been a criminal charge levied. However, in the event that it goes that way, I think it's very important that the community gets a sense of fairness, a sense of justice. And in the event that it is federal, of course, there would be, according to Trump and what he put out already, he's judged that there's nothing to see here. And so if the locals get it, what will they do? Will they move forward? And if they move forward, what will that look like? Would it look like a, actual prosecution? And what would be the prosecution here? Criminal negligence, intent? We'll see.
Gil, I'm curious. Emily was talking about, there's that physician, and I understand that in the moment like this, right? There's the most important thing about this country is a country of rules and laws, and if they're not upheld in one horrific part of something, doesn't mean that they should also be dropped in another. In that even with that said, though, when the physician says, I can help, and he's right there, and maybe at that point it appears to everybody she's dead, but to take 15 minutes for someone to get there and to not allow someone who might be able to administer.
Yeah, again, they have to. They have no choice in this matter. If if that bystander wasn't really a doctor, and moved in to treat this person and then messed up their treatment in some way, the officers would have been liable for allowing that person to come and treat the woman. And that's a consequence of the litigious society that we live in, right? Like, instead of frivolous lawsuits just being thrown out as a part of course, a judge looking at a situation being like, absolutely fucking not, and just throwing it out immediately. you get situations like this where you can't do things that would seem like the right choice to make or the obvious choice to make. You can't do it.
Or CPR. That, just on a human level, that's really hard to hear.
It is.
Well,
Yeah.
if you do have paramedics that are trained, and I believe ICE and CBP, Customs and Border Protection, has people that are trained, and they're right there, that can be a help. I think you're always going to be, as a law enforcement officer, maybe a little suspicious of the person that said, "Wait, I'm a doctor, I'm a physician, I can help," etc. I mean, I think they could have been handled much better. But if they did have the paramedics there immediately on the scene, they're going to give her treatment.
Right. Of course, they had said it was 15 minutes, but the trauma there that you heard, the trauma.
Yeah, I mean, that's what struck me. There's two things that struck me. First of all,
See, it's not about the truth. It's about the trauma. It's about how you felt, not how things really are.
just how horrific to witness this on your street, right? And then the second thing is her characterization of the behavior of the ICE agents, the lack of training, the disorganization, the way that they were talking to her, giving her contradicting, advice. So I think there's a lot to unpack here.
They weren't giving her advice, they were giving her orders. There's a difference.
More details are emerging about.
There's this piece of shit here. And it's like I said, like I was talking earlier about it being completely unavoidable. You live in the society that you deserve. You get the government that you deserve. You voted for this guy. You voted for this guy and in this administration. He has allowed foreigners to come into your state and rob you. And now that the fallout is happening from that, he's going on TV and telling everybody how it's Trump's fault. It's the right's fault. It's the ICE officer's fault. It's his fault. He did it. Him and the rest of them that are aligned with him, that have benefited from it.
Commissioner Bob Jacobson, Colonel Schaefer of the Minnesota National Guard, and Colonel Bogojevic of the Minnesota State Patrol. This morning, we learned that an ICE officer shot and killed someone in Minneapolis. My deepest condolences to the family, to the loved ones who had to learn about this tragic event on national television. We've been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous.
If you've been warning about this, why have you been doing nothing to stop it? If you knew this was something like this was going to happen, which obviously it was, anybody who's been paying attention to the past year knows that eventually something like this was going to happen, or worse. And the new year's just getting started.
Sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety. That someone was going to get hurt. Just yesterday, I said exactly that. What we're seeing.
Then why haven't you done anything to stop it? Why are these leftists telling people to go out and obstruct federal law enforcement agents, ICE? Why are they telling people to do this? It's a good question. Why would you tell people? Why would you tell impressionable young people and foolish middle-aged to older people, because it is foolish. This lady was in her 30s. She should have known better. You're convincing these people that they're fighting some sort of their resistance ready.
Is the consequences of governments designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV. And today that recklessness cost someone their life.
Yeah, I agree. It did. It did. The recklessness cost somebody their life that day, the other day. Absolutely.
I've reached out to Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and I'm waiting to hear back. Let me be clear. Donald Trump and his administration may not care much about Minnesota. That's been pretty evident.
Right. That's why he was sending the agents there in the first place, to get rid of these thieves in your neighborhoods. Stole billions of dollars out of your health care. You don't think you deserve it? You don't think you deserve that money for your health care? Did you not work for it? Is it not your taxes? Shouldn't it be going to you and your neighbors? Not some foreigners who just come in and steal it?
But we love this state. We won't let them tear us apart. We'll not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this: I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. If you protest and express your First Amendment rights, please do so peacefully.
Yes, please do so peacefully. Exactly. Don't block the roads. Don't block the federal agents. Don't stop them from doing their jobs. Protest. You have the right to protest. You do not have the right to physically get in the way of the officers who are doing their jobs. You're obstructing. That's an obstruction of justice. It's plain and simple. It's obvious.
As you always do. We can't give them what they want. The hearts and minds of the people in this state are on our side. To Americans, I ask you this: please stand with Minneapolis. To Minnesotans, know that our administration is going to stop at nothing to seek accountability and justice.
Like you stopped at nothing to seek accountability and justice for the millions of dollars that was stolen from your health care and child care services.
The State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are working on the investigation. We have activated the State Emergency Operations Center. State Patrol and Minnesota National Guard leadership is connected with the Minneapolis Police Department, the St. Paul Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, the DNR, and Minnesota's Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We have activated dozens of members of the State Patrol's mobile response team. And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government.
Obviously, you do. You have no control over the situation. You could have control over the situation, but you chose not to. You chose not to have control.
To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough. There's nothing more important than Minnesotan safety. I've issued a warning order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight.
Except you did. You did. And that's why you dropped out of the race already. Because you know you did. You know how bad you've screwed up. You know you've screwed up.
We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information. Now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Bob Jacobson of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. As the Governor mentioned, my name is Bob Jacobson. It is my honor to serve as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety.
Look at him. Look at that face. He knows what he's done. I sincerely think that he believes that everything that he's done, he cares. But it's not enough to care when you're an idiot. This man is obviously a fucking idiot. He's let these foreigners pilfer the coffers of Minnesota. And he's allowed his people to be manipulated into putting themselves into harm's way as the federal government comes in to fix the problem that he should have already fixed. That right there is the face of a man who knows exactly what he has done.
First of all, I want to acknowledge the reason that we are all here. The loss of life is not anything anyone would ever want. We fully expect that the community will want to peacefully demonstrate their anger or frustration. Minnesota residents and visitors have the right to peacefully demonstrate. We recognize that demonstrations are often driven by strong emotions, beliefs, and certainly a desire to be heard. Our role is to help ensure everyone can express themselves without anyone getting hurt. The Minnesota Department of Public Safety's role through the Minnesota State Patrol is to ensure safety, protect constitutional rights, keep roads accessible, and above all, to prevent harm. Our top priority is public safety. Our focus is keeping demonstrators, community members, drivers, and law enforcement safe, especially during moments of heightened tension or uncertainty. Demonstrations must remain safe and lawful, particularly around roadways.
Yes. Of course.
We will join with our partners to support safety while respecting the right to protest. With that in mind, I'd like to share a few safe and lawful ways to demonstrate. Minnesotans can safely and legally express their views in many ways, including getting together peacefully with others in public spaces, marching or walking, not on roadways, making your voice heard through chants, speeches, and displaying signs, being present in public areas where pedestrians are allowed, gathering in designated or permitted areas.
Is it just me, or is the sign language people like really annoying when you or maybe not annoying, but distracting. Maybe distracting would be a better word for it.
And these actions will allow people to express themselves while protecting the safety of everyone involved. Unsafe or illegal actions could result in fines or arrests. Certain behaviors create serious hazards that threaten public safety, disrupt emergency services, or put people at risk. These actions could result in fines or arrest. Demonstrating on or entering a freeway on foot, walking on highways, throwing objects, starting or setting fires, damaging property or graffiti, using illegal fireworks, displaying or using illegal weapons, reckless or dangerous driving, especially near pedestrians, and certainly assaultive, aggressive, or riotous behavior toward anyone. We all want definitive answers.
He forgot to mention that. He forgot to mention that it can result in your death as well. You can get shot, like that lady's got shot.
To what happened today. Our Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is working in conjunction with the FBI to investigate this morning's shooting. As you know, we don't comment on active investigations, but also keep in mind that this is an investigation is also in its infancy. So any speculation about what had happened would be just that.
We can see it in the video. You see everything in the video.
And we will not engage in speculation. With that, I will turn it back over to the governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'd be glad to take any questions. Yeah, and I can let General Schaefer talk about this. It so happens it's a training weekend. We've got about 7,500 troops in training at our sites, training sites across the state. What it is, and in the National Guard, you give a warning order, which is a heads up of something could be coming. That just allows people to think about what they would need, what it would mean to mobilize, what it would mean to put them in. And I could let the General talk a little bit about this. Obviously, since the summer of 2020, we had a lot of work done on teams being ready to make sure that civil unrest. And what that means, and I think Commissioner Jacobson was very clear, and I want Minnesotans to hear this from me, the desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty at this point in time, but it needs to be done safely. And I think the Commissioner simply just laid out some of those parameters.
It's a patriotic duty to go out there and try to stop ICE from doing their jobs. Stop them from doing what your governor was supposed to already have been doing and hasn't been doing.
Can do that. This is the peaceful resistance that we need. Simon, you want to say a few things about what that means to have them on the ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Governor. So for the military, Minnesota National Guard is comprised of 13,000 soldiers and airmen. We live all across and work throughout Minnesota. A warning order is just an initial step to increase your preparations. The Minnesota Guard is always prepared to respond and support state agencies and the citizens of Minnesota. So what that means for us today is just some additional checks on equipment that is ready at all times, and maybe some additional phone calls to service members who might be activated, but no activations. We are embedded with our state agencies here at the Operations Center to just continue parallel planning in the event that we are needed to support.
Thanks, General. And I would make note, Mary, and to Minnesotans on this about the National Guard, they're there to protect you and protect your constitutional rights. These are our neighbors. They don't wear masks. They don't bust in from somewhere else. They're not here to cause hassles to you or what we saw today, the tragedy. Having them at the ready to make sure, because when we see these types of things happen, and we saw it after the murder of George Floyd, there's folks that want to cause chaos. There's the disruptors in it. And while the vast majority of those protests were peaceful expressions of their First Amendment rights,
That's a lie.
Property and put people at risk. The National Guard is there.
Another lie.
Peaceful protests are able to be done, and that those that want to do the destruction are stopped from doing that. Yes. Yeah.
Can't even hear what she asked.
Apparently by a federal agent, not by Minnesotans who were there to express their First Amendment rights. I think we've seen this to have folks.
She wasn't there to express her First Amendment right. She was there to obstruct. Let's see, where is it?
All right, Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz declaring today a day of unity, calling for peaceful protests and a moment of silence for Renee Good, the woman killed in Wednesday's fatal ICE-involved shooting.
See, this woman should have been with her kids. Why the fuck was she not at home with her children?
The National Guard now on standby in the Twin Cities as anti-ICE protests are expected for a third straight day.
Alexis McAdams joins us live from downtown Minneapolis with the latest. Alexis.
Good morning. Well, you saw yesterday some of those protests breaking out across the city, and I think it's interesting being here on the ground covering it, hearing what some of these people are saying to these Border Patrol agents and these ICE officers, calling them murderers, calling them killers, and then even spitting at them, which we'll get to in a second. I want to show you what happened this morning.
We never went to Iran.
Near the scene. This was the first time I've seen Minneapolis police out there trying to, I guess, help, because they're trying to push all of this debris and basically encampments that were set up right near where the shooting happened. They blocked off the road since this shooting happened and left behind snacks and other items. I don't know for what. Back out here live, although the feds say the agents shot this woman in self-defense, the protesters they've been talking to say that these people and these agents are killers and they don't want them in their city. They're taking their neighbors, etc. So it's been very contentious here on the ground. We saw at least a dozen people arrested. Watch this.
Well, it looks like they're peacefully protesting.
Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino on the ground, walking up and down. He was trying to show his support for teams who were out helping ICE during this massive federal operation. The reason they are also needed, I think it's important to point out, is because local police are just not around. The Sheriff's Department didn't see them. The Minneapolis PD didn't see them. So when there's all that chaos, they need somebody to help step in. At one point, Bovino had a clash with protesters.
Get out of the way.
The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension wanted to conduct its own independent investigation into the shooting. They said, let us take a look at the paperwork. Is there body cam video? They had all these questions, but now they have, quote, reluctantly withdrawn because the FBI said, we don't need your help. They blocked them from being involved. DHS Acting Director Kristi Noem says they don't need Minnesota's help.
I'd like to know where they've been and why they're not out on the streets investigating all of these people that are harassing and inciting violence on law enforcement officers right now. They're allowing the situation.
Yeah, see, you gotta arrest them. You have to arrest the people who are responsible for this kind of stuff.
Situation to be volatile. They're not doing their work. They have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem correcting that there. But yeah, just so much going on.
Letting them know.
We're expecting more protests,
Yep.
not just today, but throughout the weekend. We'll keep an eye on it.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate it, Alexis. So who is this mom? Who is this woman that lost her life tragically, Renee Good? We're finding out more.
Yeah,
Actually
is
lives in
that
Minneapolis, and according to reports, she goes into a daycare with a 6-year-old, or a school with a 6-year-old, and evidently it's a charter school known for its social activism. At which time, other parents.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Teaching kids to do this sort of thing. Teaching your kids to go and block ICE and put yourself into situations like this. Get yourself killed for the cause.
Parents start saying how important it is for kids to get involved in activism. That's another conversation. Number two, it turns out that she gets gradually radicalized, or was radicalized already, and joins these anti-ICE teams, and she becomes a warrior for those teams.
Yeah, the New York Post calling her an ICE warrior, saying that Renee Good had participated in part. Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, the New York Post. I was going to use the New York Post itself for this part, but every time I tried to get on their site, it kept they've got bad ads. You need like ad blockers and stuff for their site.
We're on the left, saying that she was part, Ainsley, of this ICE Watch group. And, you know, it is
They need to do something about that.
unbelievable that in America we have these organized groups. In Minneapolis, we saw it out in California months ago, where groups are allowed to organize to basically dox, identify, and put our ICE, federal immigration law enforcement officers, at greater risk. That's why you've got assaults up 1,300%. That's why you've got a 3,200% increase in vehicle assaults. Now, you mentioned that school, Brian. A mother that also has a child in that school gave a quote to the New York Post saying that Renee was trained against these ICE agents, what to do, what not to do. It's a very thorough training to listen to commands, to know your rights, to whistle when you see an ICE agent. I know she was doing the right thing. I watched the video plenty of times, but I also know in my heart the woman she was doing everything.
She was doing everything right. These people, they have no sense.
Right. However, that's not
right if you're an activist.
That's not actually true. If you're obstructing an ICE operation,
but in that person's mind,
The right thing to do would have been to step out of the right thing to do would have been not to use the vehicle to block ICE agents in the first place. That would have been the right thing to do. When the agents told her to stop, the stopping would have been the right thing to do. Not trying to drive off when there's officers all around your car. And again, you know, I understand that she was freaking out. Hence why she should have never been in the situation in the first place.
The thing, this just shows you there are two tales going on in America right now. You have some people who think she was doing the right thing, including this mom at the school. The activist community, they think she was doing the right thing. Then you have...
How is it the right thing? How is stopping ICE from deporting illegal immigrants who are stealing money, stealing your tax dollars, while you're struggling and everybody else in the country is struggling just to keep food on the table? And we have these immigrants, illegal, they're not even immigrants, they're illegals, that are here just stealing. Just stealing our money while we're struggling. But it's the right thing to do? How? How is it the right thing to do?
The other group, the other side of the story, who says you can't resist arrest. You can't run away from police officers when they tell you to get out of the car, when they tell you to stop.
She was trained to do that.
She was trained to do that. According to the New York Post, it says she was trained to resist the feds before the shooting, part of the group of activists who work to document and resist the federal immigration crackdown. They call her the ICE Watch Warrior.
Do you believe this? She was trained in detail on what ICE can do, what they can't do, how to get in their face, how to block them off. So she's not the poet from Colorado who wants to, who's coming off, you know, who wants to raise a 6-year-old child. She's an activist living in Minneapolis who's with an anti-ICE group. That's a little bit different than we've been told.
They say the training is very, very thorough, but this lady ended up dead as a result of resisting.
About her own actions, which the vice president pointed out yesterday.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick?
Exactly. Who pays for the brick? Who pays for the organization? Who pays for the organizers? Who... these things just don't happen overnight. It takes planning, logistics, money, time, effort. these things, they just don't spring up.
And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it, who's supporting it, who's cheerleading it, and of course, if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
It's all illegal activity. In my eyes, anyway. If you're aiding and abetting, you're aiding and abetting other people in the process of them obstructing ICE agents. Obstructing ICE is illegal. You've aided and abetted that person in doing this action. You've committed a crime. They need to go to jail. They need the police need to come to their homes, put them in cuffs, and take them to jail. And then they can just sit in there until they're no bail. They just sit in jail like everybody else does because they can't afford to bail. And yeah, you just sit there until your trial's over. Problem solved.
Let's get this straight. You could focus on the car and they're going to do an investigation and have at it. But you could also focus on who is inciting this violence since President Trump took over. It is these Democratic mayors, Democratic governors in Chicago, over in Minneapolis, and now over in Portland, Oregon. We see it again today, who are basically asking people to do just this. Get in ICE's way. And what is ICE's mandate? To get illegal immigrant criminals off the streets and illegal immigrants out of the country. That's their goal. So if you can tell me how that is anti-American or why that should be your way of making a living, or how you, as the mother of a 6-year-old, should drop your kid off and then go put your life on the line to get in front of the U.S. federal law enforcement, is beyond me. It's a tragedy that she died, but as J.D. Vance said, it's of her own doing that she put herself in that situation. Trained.
It is. And I also blame the people trying to convince her that it's the right thing to do. She didn't just come up with this idea on her own. She didn't just out of the blue decide, I'm going to go down here and block ICE agents from doing their job. I guarantee she wasn't just sitting around watching TV and then the idea just popped into her head and she's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go block some ICE agents today. And then she went and did it.
To get in the way of law enforcement. And don't tell me you're pro-law enforcement if you're anti-ICE. You can't do both. You're going to pick sheriffs that you like, state cops that you like. You're going to pick local cops that you like. Oh, I just don't like the FBI, or I just don't like ICE. They're doing their job.
Well, Laura Ingraham last night was in the middle of one of the protests, and the lady admitted this. Laura said, why don't you have a job? She goes, this is my job.
Yeah.
So she is getting paid to be out there. And J.D. Vance is a good point. Who's paying for that brick? Who's paying these individuals?
The same people that are protesting. These are left-wing socialist groups that take anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas 1 minute, the next minute they're pro-George Floyd. Whatever the issue, anti-American issue is, they pay the activists to disrupt.
It's time to follow the money, as J.D. Vance says, and find out who these groups are. It appears, according to the New York Post, one group, Indivisible Twin Cities, may be behind training some of these protesters and organizing them. So we need to know more about them, who they are, and where their money's coming from.
Right. FoxNews.com did a story on Monday that really unwinds the 6 major socialist groups in our...
I guarantee they already know. I guarantee FBI already has files on all these groups. They already know who runs it. They already know where the money comes from. They already know. They already have all the information. And they need to just act. They need to go get them. You just go get them. You know what they're doing. You know where they're at. You know what they're about. Just go get them. Just go get them. Put them in jail.
Our country, some of which money coming from Shanghai. Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today.
Let's. How about I don't? Fox News. What else we got here? So yeah, and they just keep doing it too, don't they? Aren't they?
The worst state to live in right now.
Uh-oh, what is the worst state?
And
No.
nobody's talking about it. I spent 30 years in the insurance industry. What I'm about to tell you will.
Thank you, Katina. So we are bringing to you just a taste of
A teachers' union.
press conference that's being held in Minneapolis.
Why would a teachers' union be holding a press conference on ice?
Right now, they closed schools
Makes you wonder.
yesterday and today. They declared today a day of unity. The woman who just spoke, Ms. Taylor, she said that every Minnesotan is at risk of what happened to Rachel Good. Yeah. Seems like a little.
No. Only if you put yourself in that situation. She didn't have to put herself in that situation. No Minnesotan has to put themselves in that situation.
Far-fetched.
Yeah, a couple other things going on. Day of Unity today, moment of silence coming up at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And last night, the NBA game, the Timberwolves last night, sold out arena in Minneapolis. They had a moment of silence as well, followed by a couple of choice lines for ICE and other federal employees working in their state. Tricia McLaughlin's DHS Assistant Secretary, and thank you for coming on today. First, react to what the teachers are saying. They want all these schools to be in a safe zone, essentially.
That certainly did not seem very unifying, and it also didn't seem like those individuals speaking had the facts on the ground. Secretary Noem was just
Schools are already a safe zone, aren't they?
As we both know, and what we saw.
Well, I guess not really.
As far as arrests go, was they were arresting multiple child pedophiles. I've seen the reports of who they've picked up, scores and scores of child pedophiles. These educators should really be.
So we got protesters out here defending pedophiles. Is that what we got? I don't know. That's what she's saying. I don't know if that's true or not.
Our law enforcement does not go into.
But if that's true, why are they not? Why are they still on the street? Why are they on the street anyway? I guess we'll find out if it's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if they're Tim Walz and his administration just let Somalians steal your money, might as well let them diddle your kids too, right?
Schools, unless there is a public safety threat within those schools. What we saw on Wednesday, which one of those educators was referring to, was there was an individual who was assaulting our law enforcement, and he started a chase that went about 5 miles. This subject of this chase started going over barriers. He was running red lights, and eventually he took the chase onto school grounds. Our law enforcement did not go into this school and made sure to defuse the situation so it was this subject, this individual, who put children at risk. It is our law enforcement and President Trump and Secretary Noem who are actually protecting these children on the ground in Minneapolis, when unfortunately we see Tim Walz and a lot of these politicians turning a blind eye to the victims of these crimes.
Weren't these guys talking about getting the Epstein list released? They're real concerned about the Epstein list, but not very concerned about the pedos, the little Epsteins in their own streets.
Children who who have been exploited, who have been abused, and to also other victims of murder. We had picked up a known or suspected terrorist, multiple gang members, just in the last 5 weeks that we've been in Minneapolis.
Tricia, you mentioned Governor Walz, and he was talking last night about Minnesota being taken out of the investigation. Watch here.
It feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation.
That's because you were. Yes, because you were. Yeah. I wonder why.
It feels
It's a mystery.
very, very difficult that we will get a fair outcome. When Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday, that's very, very difficult to think that they were going to be fair.
Yeah, and that statement is fair, right?
With that being said, Minnesotans, we've risen to the occasion so far, but it's going to get challenging.
This guy.
Has Minnesota been taken out?
I tell you.
Absolutely not. And he keeps on talking about how he feels instead of what the facts are on the ground. I'll let DOJ talk about the investigation itself, but his inflammatory rhetoric are certainly not helping public safety in Minnesota. And Dana, I also think it's important we talk about the facts that happened that day, especially when lethal force was used. This individual, the subject in question, the deceased, had been following our law enforcement throughout the day, stalking them. At the time of this incident, our law enforcement was outside of their vehicle, trying to get their vehicle out of the snow, when she started blocking our law enforcement, harassing them, impeding lawful operations on the ground. That's when our law enforcement approached the individual, told her to exit the car to stop impeding law enforcement. She would not obey these lawful commands. And that's when she put her foot on the gas. And unfortunately, our law enforcement, he followed his training, but he did fire defensive shots.
See, that's the most important part, right? Like, you just can't do that. You can't do that and not expect to get shot or not expect something bad to happen.
We're glad he's safe, but with any loss of life, Dana, of course, we pray for the deceased and her family and our law enforcement, everyone involved.
Well, what appears to be happening, Tricia, is that both sides are lining up to defend their arguments, and we're seeing this from the teachers union there in Minnesota. Here is Congresswoman Jayapal of the state of Washington, just last night on another network, said this.
But the truth is that every single person in the United States of America, U.S. citizens, white, black, brown, whoever you are, you have to worry now that an ICE agent is going to come and shoot at you.
No, you don't. That's a lie. She's lying. You do not have to worry about an ICE agent coming to shoot at you. Stay out of their way. Do not impede federal law enforcement agents from doing their job. Don't do it. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what opinion you have about the job that they're doing. Stay out of their way.
And kill you.
So I want you to react to that, and also the numbers that we're getting from your department, all right? This is from DHS. The number of assaults up 1,300%, vehicle attacks up 3,200%, and death threats up 8,000. Tricia.
Well, it's words like that, inflammatory rhetoric like that from that sitting congresswoman, which is why we are seeing a coordinated campaign.
This is why I said that anybody who's been paying attention for the past year knew that this is going to happen eventually. It's going to happen eventually. You just the left keeps building up the tension to keep telling people to go out there and obstruct law enforcement. It's like playing Russian roulette. You know, you could be the luckiest son of a gun in the universe, but you keep playing the game long enough, you're going to get the bullet.
Campaign of violence against our law enforcement. You just pointed to those statistics, as well as vehicle rammings are up 3,200%. We've seen 10 just in the last 48 hours alone. Incredibly dangerous for our law enforcement. But I do think we have to take a step back and say, why are we in Minneapolis? Why are we in these cities across the country? It's because sanctuary cities like Minneapolis will not let us in their jail.
Exactly. This is another reason why I mean about how all of these things are there. It's avoidable. There's no sense, no need for any of it. It's just the people who are responsible for doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, like Tim Walz and the men and women in his administration, don't do it. They don't do what they're supposed to do. They do what they feel like they should do. It's all about their feelings. What I feel I should do. It's not about your feelings.
So they'll have murders, they'll have known or suspected.
The whole feelings. It's first world. This is a first world outlook. It's not real life. It's an illusion that's been created. An illusion of safety. An illusion of well, you have a right to do X, and that's just how it is, and so you expect everybody around you to just conform around that right. That's not the real world. It's not the real world at all. I could show you the real world. Let me see if I can find it here. Come on. What happened to my thing here? Oops. There we go. All right. This is the real world. Now, I'm not going to show the rest. We live, especially here in America, we live in incredibly sheltered lives. This baby warthog. You think this lion cares about this baby warthog assertment of its rights? No, the lion needs to eat.
Terrorists, child pedophiles, really vile, violent public safety threats, and they will just release them back onto the streets. In this year alone, Governor Walz and his team have released over 500 public safety threats who are criminal legal aliens back onto the streets of Minnesota. That is why we have to have law enforcement on the ground, to make sure that those crimes are not perpetuated, so that we arrest these individuals and that we make sure that the citizens of Minnesota are safe, because their law enforcement, their politicians refuse to do it.
Tricia, I woke to the news about...
Yes. See, and ultimately, these are the people who are at fault. These politicians, and wealthy people who use their money to back the politicians and to back these groups of people, these terrorists. You gotta put a stop to them.
An incident in Portland regarding the Border Patrol. Could you just speak to what happened there? We understand somebody was shot.
Yes, so this was a targeted traffic enforcement stop. The target of this traffic stop was.
Oh yeah, there was some more stuff that went down in Portland yesterday, wasn't it?
Female, 32.
I hadn't looked at it, the Portland stuff yet.
She is involved in a prostitution ring. As many of your viewers are probably familiar, Tren de Aragua is a gang out of Venezuela. They enriched themselves largely through.
Imagine that. A Venezuelan gang. Huh. What have we been doing in Venezuela here lately?
Drug trafficking, but also the trafficking of young women. The subject was involved in this. She was the passenger of the vehicle, as well as the driver of the vehicle. We believe he's a member of Tren de Aragua. Our law enforcement officers pulled them over as they were approaching the vehicle. When the subjects realized who our law enforcement were, they pulled forward, attempting to hit our law enforcement, and that's when our agent, he again followed his training and fired defensive shots at that vehicle, and the subjects drove 5 miles, and they proceeded to call 911. They're now in the hospital, but our agent, he
They got lucky. They're still alive. You got lucky.
Okay, in the hospital and presumably under arrest as well at this point.
Absolutely.
Correct on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, more to come on this, unfortunately, and we'll see what city it happens
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you for your time today.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brad.
Yeah, nobody cares. What's this? Coast Guard seizes another Ghost Fleet tanker in the Caribbean.
Told you it was a busy day. It continues now. This is new video of the Caribbean. Check this out. That's the U.S. Coast Guard seizing another Ghost Fleet tanker. Said to be in the Eastern Caribbean earlier today. DHS saying that it departed Venezuela, suspected of carrying embargoed oil.
Looks like that tanker needed some freedom, huh? Yeah, gotta get that oil.
Remember, this happened a lot this week, several times already. It comes as President Trump is revealing his next steps for that conflict. Dan Hoffman, former CIA station chief, Fox News contributor, and Dan, good morning to you.
Team America saves the day again. Yeah, get that oil.
If you were up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you would have read this on True Social, okay? Venezuela is releasing large numbers of political prisoners as a sign of seeking peace. I've canceled the previously expected second wave of attacks, which looks like it will not be needed. However, all ships will stay in place for safety and security purposes. You've got that from the president.
Yeah.
He told Sean Hannity he'll meet with Machado next week. We'll see about that when it happens. And then they got the oil executives this afternoon at the White House. What do you see as a common thread about how this pulls together?
Well, I think, look, Secretary Rubio definitely internalized the lessons of the Iraq War, and the last thing we want to do is repeat those mistakes. So we disbanded the Iraqi army and the Ba'ath Party and created the condition for a Sunni insurgency. We're not doing that in Venezuela. President Trump is trying to condition this interim Venezuelan government to proceed along the lines that will serve our national interests by releasing those political prisoners and hopefully transitioning to some form of more representative government for the people with some rule of law that allows our oil companies to go in and exploit the considerable oil and gas reserves in Venezuela. And we're doing that with minimal interference in Venezuela's internal affairs, at least no boots on the ground.
It just seems like they're cooperating. I'm just reading between the lines, Dan. Do you agree or disagree with that, yes or no?
No, I agree. We're offering a lot of carrots, which is oil revenue that they wouldn't otherwise get, and we've got the stick of renewed strikes on Venezuela.
Gonna beat him down with that stick. Hey, no. Shut that off. Sorry, I'm doing things here. All right, that'll do.
Got it. Now to Iran. The supreme leader is telling his people, do not do what the President of the United States wants you to do. That came up with Sean as well last night.
Oh, yeah. A bunch of stuff going on in Iran now, too, in there. Oh, yeah, here we go.
Welcome back. Another shooting by a federal agent yesterday to report, this time in Portland, Oregon. 2 people shot and wounded by a U.S. Border Patrol agent.
Yeah, we know.
Tren de Aragua.
Yeah.
Nicole Good. She's the woman in Minneapolis who was shot by an ICE agent, as the Trump administration is maintaining that the agent was acting in self-defense. Some Republican lawmakers are calling on President Trump.
I like how Bitcoin and Ethereum are on the tickers now. Where was it? Oh, there it is. Bitcoin and Ethereum are on the tickers.
Maintaining that the agent was acting in self-defense. Some Republican lawmakers are calling on President Trump to arrest Minnesota Governor Tim Walz now because he's threatening to deploy
And XRP.
against ICE. Joining me now is
Hey, man, Solana, too.
Congressman, thanks very much for being here. This is going
Even Doge is on there. The Dogecoin. It's at 14 cents. All right.
Anytime you have a loss of life, it's a tragedy. But what we have here is law enforcement engaged in enforcing the law. And what we need is for Americans to respect that action by law enforcement and to allow law enforcement to continue to do its job. And when we see these tragedies occur, to have the governor of Minnesota...
Didn't we already see this? I think we already saw this. I think we already saw that one. Here we go. This isn't a surprise, is it?
Create a website that's worthy of it.
Senator Joni Ernst joins me now. Senator, have you been surprised by the inflammatory language used by Democrats to respond to the shooting? I mean, AOC and others are calling it murder.
Stuart, I would like to say that I am surprised, but I am not surprised at all. This is the dangerous...
Yeah, we already know.
Whether directly or indirectly, they are inciting further authorities in Minnesota out to impede, resulting in the death of a young woman.
Yep.
But again, they are operating under legal authority.
Yep.
The rhetoric has got to stop.
Bunch of retards.
Let's see what they say.
Got it. I want to talk about fraud in Minnesota.
Yes.
I believe
the whole reason, the reason for the season.
Doge Committee. What have you got uncovered?
Yes, absolutely, Stuart. There is a ton of fraud in Minnesota and many other states. But what I uncovered the other day in one of our spending bills making its way through Congress was a $1 million earmark from Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, which was an earmark that was supposedly going to a substance abuse clinic, which actually happened to be housed in a restaurant and run by 3 individuals that share the same residential address, according to their IRS paperwork.
Imagine that.
Red flags.
This is what your sympathy. This is what your empathy gets you. Oh, she's Somalian. We got to vote for her.
With the fraud involving the daycare centers, now we see other earmarks coming directly from members of Congress.
Your sympathy gets you eaten. Your sympathy gets you eaten, guys. Don't let yourself get eaten. Don't expect the people around you to be okay with it as well. Oh, we're going to be okay with it. Yeah, we'll just let them eat us. It'll be fine. Just let them eat you. I'll be right back. You coming? Oh, what's out there, doggo? Coming through? All right. All right, I has returned. Okay, what time is it now? All right. Yeah, sorry about that. Had to get some coffee going. Let's see what we got here. There was some more I wanted to watch, I think. No. 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 A video from 13 years ago. What? That's wild. What is
John Sopel joins me of the newsagents. And John, I'd like to talk to you, if I can, more about this Minneapolis shooting. I spoke about it in the first hour, and it was almost universal.
You know what? No, I'm not going to say it.
More than disapproval, anger at what has happened. Might Trump and his colleagues be able to just bat this away, or is it looking unlikely?
I think they'll bat it away. I think that there is half of America who thinks that she was a domestic terrorist. They've bought every line that Donald Trump has said, and that Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, has said, that there is no ambiguity about it at all. This was someone radicalized. This was someone whose heart was filled with hatred towards, immigrations and enforcement and ICE officials, and it's a done deal. And there is half of America who thinks there's absolutely no doubt about it. This was a cold-blooded killing of an innocent woman who was exercising her right to protest. And everyone has gone to the barricades.
Nobody has a right to obstruct law enforcement. You do not have the right to obstruct law enforcement. Ever. In any situation.
Both directions, and no one is listening to it at all. Obviously, if you look at that video and watch it very closely, which I've done now a number of times.
Me too, yeah.
The angle at which the bullet goes into the car through that windscreen means that the gun was fired from the side, not in front of the car, at the side of the car. So it's hard then to insist that this was someone who shot in fear of his life, because
how do people watch the same videos and come up with completely different what's the word I'm looking for? Interpretations of what it is that they saw. Hello there, your secret father. Nice name. I'm doing fine.
Because the car had already passed him.
And he was physically clear of it. You could see the space between it. He was near to it, make no mistake. And the other guy who'd been pulling at the handle was obviously close to it. He'd stopped pulling it at that point, but window wide open. But he was clear of the vehicle. There was no danger to him from that vehicle.
There was no danger. These people, man. Where did it go? Did I get rid of it? I did, didn't I? Here. All right. Dang it. Why does it keep doing that? All right. Where was it? Is this it here? No, get out of here.
A federal agent shot and killed a woman during a large-scale immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis.
Look, okay, this guy goes around.
Eyewitness footage from various angles show how
hold
the incident
on.
unfolded. Immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis.
Yeah, there's a guy on the other side. There he is in front. Now she's driving towards him. How is that not in danger? How is that not how is that not putting that officer in danger? Not only that officer that was in front, but also the officer that was on the side of her car. There is no situation where it's okay for you to just drive off when somebody is on your door or in front of you. Well, let me rephrase that. When it's police officers. When police officers are in front of you, you don't just run through them.
Incident unfolded. The person in the dark red SUV, who we now know to be 37-year-old US citizen Renee Nicole Good, appears to wave the agents to go ahead past her car. At the same time, a federal officer can be seen walking around the car.
Mm-hmm.
Two more agents approach the car on the driver's side, telling her to get out. One of them tries to open the door as the car starts to reverse. The agent, who goes on to shoot Good, is now at the front of the car. He draws his gun as the car starts to move forward and appears to turn right. He fires the first shot. He then fires two more shots as the car pulls away. The vehicle then veers off the road and crashes into a nearby parked car.
And all that happens like in like a second. And people act like he was supposed to stop everything and think about all the different possibilities of what could be going on inside this own woman's head. What this woman is intending to do. And he's got to do it like in a split second. It's ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous.
No, and if you look at the statement that was put out by ICE, the federal agency responsible for immigration, they said that a number of officers were injured, but will make a full recovery. No officers were injured. There were no officers.
No. The man who shot her walked slowly away.
Yeah.
To say call 911.
Exactly. So there was no one.
That doesn't mean he wasn't injured. You can have an injury and still walk away. Especially a man. A man can go through all kinds of injuries and seem fine. Like I have an injury in my arm. In this arm right here. But I can still move it around. It hurts. But I still move it around, and you can't tell. Nobody outside, nobody other than me knows that it hurts. Except for anybody listening right now, because I just told you it hurts. But you're not going to know unless I said something about it.
Injured. So the story unravels fast as soon as you touch it. Look, it's possible that the guy who fired the shots did feel that the car started coming towards him and maybe he reacted instinctively. And instinctively in America means shoot first, ask questions later.
No, I'm not gonna.
And, the sad fact of the matter is that there have been so many shootings like this of people in cars, and then the law enforcement officials say, well, I felt my life was threatened and therefore it was self-defense, and so it goes on. But this will play into,
except in this case it's true. A car is coming at you. Cars are deadly. The car will kill you. Even if the car is only going 5 miles an hour, you can get you could get pinned by that vehicle against another object. You can get pinned and crushed. You could get caught. You could get ran over, caught in the wheel well of the vehicle, and then you just get continuously crunched up into that wheel well by the wheel. Even if the car is only going 5 miles per hour, it can and often does kill people. It's very dangerous. Cars are very dangerous. You have to treat them with respect, same as anything else. Anything else that's dangerous, that in the wrong hands can kill people, and often does kill people.
To radical elements on Trump's base who want to hear that the fight is being taken to immigrant communities, and that this was the woke mob, the Antifa, that they are domestic terrorists, and it just seems impossible to protest reasonably now.
And I always think about what it must be like as well from the point of view of the agents. I mean, there'll be a mixed bunch of people, I'm sure. But I saw on Instagram a couple of hours after this story broke, a youngish, like 30s, not a kid, a black guy in his car, in a car park, using his phone, stopped by 4 or 5 ICE agents. They pulled his door open. He was visible and half out of his car. And they said, show us your identity. And he said, I'm under no compunction to show you my identity. If you get me a law enforcement officer, a policeman, I will. But no, I'm an American citizen. They said, prove to us you're an American citizen. And he said, why do I have to prove to you I'm an American citizen? And they said, well, your accent doesn't sound right. That's what one of the ICE agents said to him. Your accent doesn't sound right.
So
Checks out. Yeah.
You are now in a position.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's so kind of dark in some ways that you can be arrested on suspicion of being brown or being black. And if
Except this woman is white, and she was asked about it. It has nothing to do with being brown, and so as much as it has something to do with just being not the normal.
If you are Latino and you are in an area where there may be illegal immigrants, then you can be arrested just on the basis that we don't know who you are, and therefore you're coming to us to a detention centre until such times as you can prove that you otherwise. And so
Yeah, and you do that with your identification. If you're here and you're here legally and you're supposed to be here, you will have documentation. And once you've shown that documentation, guess what happens? They let you go. They let you go, and then you go about your life. Unless you've done some other crime.
Presumption of guilt until you can prove yourself innocent. It seems to be the modus operandi of some of these agents. And I think that, if you are Latino or if you're from a Somali background, which is, the population of Minneapolis has the biggest Somali community in America, and there's a big concentration of Somalis who
I wonder why. How'd that happen?
Who've come from Somalia, who are there. And it must be terrifying, because you may have had a passport, you may have had, a US passport, born in America, but you haven't got it with you, and you're arrested.
It's okay. It's okay. You still have it, though, somewhere, right? So you get it. There's going to be documentation on the government side as well that you are supposed to be here. Sure, it's annoying. It's a pain in the ass. Everybody has to show documentations. You have to have insurance. You have to have proof of insurance for your car. You have to have a driver's license to drive a car. You have to have an ID to buy cigarettes, to buy alcohol. None of these things are out of the ordinary. They're not out of the ordinary.
Just on the suspicion that your accent sounds a bit funny, or whatever it happens to be. And so, look, Donald Trump, kudos to him, genuinely kudos to him, over the success he's had at the southern border, at which he is, managed to stop illegal immigration to a trickle.
Yeah, damn near
He's
all of
also
it.
said that I am going to crack down on the illegal immigrants who are running the drug cartels and the gangs and are involved in criminality. Again.
And nobody would argue against that.
Nobody would argue against that.
Except that there are. They are arguing against it constantly. Because this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You have to go around asking people for the IDs. That's what it looks like. So inherently when you are against that, you are inherently against getting the criminals out of the country. That's just a reality.
But because it's good theatre and it peps up his base, it's also being used
and angers the others.
It's almost being used for theatre for theatre's sake.
Reality TV.
Reality TV. It's another episode in the Trump show. We've seen it play out internationally over the past few days. Now we're seeing it play out domestically, and I think that it shows the level of polarization that there is in America. How a federal agency is now reviled by a big section of the population and loved by another section of the population. I hope it's a cautionary tale to Britain, frankly, that, whatever doubts we have at times over policing or whatever, that broadly speaking, policing in this country is done with consent, whereas policing in America is done at the barrel of a gun with the threat of force.
Yeah. And the sense I get as well about the situation that you and I have been speaking of.
How's that worked out for your knife crime? How's the knife crime there in Britain? Or how about them child rape gangs? Work out pretty good for you?
Early this week about Venezuela and about Greenland, and that sort of essential declaration of war, metaphorically speaking, on both of those countries. This is a bit of a declaration of war on his own country, and has been for some time, hasn't it, when it comes to the ICE agents and the raids, because not all of those agents are marked, for example. Some of them don't have a number, don't have identification.
No, they don't have
that means anyone could dress like one of them and go out and cause mayhem on the...
It's just like an undercover police officer. There are police officers who work undercover. They work in regular clothes. Makes it easier to catch the bad guys.
Streets.
Yes, it does look at times as though it is Donald Trump's private army. Now, Donald Trump has had some rebuffs in that the Supreme Court overturned his right to have the National Guard providing additional policing in certain states. So at the moment, but ICE agents can operate wherever they are sent, and they are operating in areas.
And look at the result of that. Look what we have to deal with now. We can't secure and protect our federal agents. If there was National Guard deployed there, that lady would have never even gotten anywhere near that situation. If there was National Guard federalized by Donald Trump and his administration on the street at that time, that she would have never even gotten near the officers doing their job. She wouldn't have even gotten close. And she would be at home with her children. I think she had one child, so yeah, her child. She'd still be at home with her kid right now, instead of getting prepared to be put in the ground.
Which have got large Democratic Party control in rural in urban areas, and they are going to carry on doing this because I think they see the cold numbers of statistics on polling data and think this is working for us.
What's impressed me is, and I'm a realist, I know that when there are big protests, there will be a whole mixed bag of people amongst those protesters. But what's impressed me is the number of just ordinary citizens who are teachers or neighbours or own a cafe. Saw an example of it just today. A woman who either owns or runs a cafe refusing to let ICE agents into the cafe. It was in New York, and she was just saying, nope, you're not coming in. Nobody gets to be terrorised in my cafe for having a coffee because you don't like the look of them. Get lost. She didn't use that language, but and they did get lost for however long, I don't know. But I think there's a bit of hope in that, and a bit of, well, there's certainly bravery in it because these people are armed to the teeth, but there's a bit of hope in that, I think.
There are bits of it that are hope, but it will be weaponized. It will be...
It's because these are people who they've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed to think that they're on the right side, that they're on the side of history.
Used to...
She's a crazy lefty,
She's
Antifa.
a crazy lefty, Antifa, and, and they will identify who the woman is, and she'll be doxxed on social media, and so it will go on. You don't do that without paying a price. And of course, if you were in Britain, in a normal democratic country, the leaders would be hoping that there will be peace and that everyone will remain calm. And
a normal democratic country, your leaders let foreigners into your country and rape your own children and let them get away with it. Covered it up for years, decades. Who is this guy?
In America, how it quite serves people's purposes if there is a violent reaction. And if you this killing yesterday, or murder, depending on how you want to call it, took place less than a mile away from where the life was squeezed out of George Floyd, in that hideous moment. Absolutely. With that Minneapolis policeman sort of with his knee on his neck. And in the immediate aftermath of that, which is when I was, based in the US, there was a huge amount of sympathy for Floyd. This was grotesque, but then the protests.
There was on all sides, and then what happened? What happened? Anybody remember? Anybody remember what began the day after George Floyd passed away? When that video went around? I can tell you. I'll tell you, I remember what happened that day was that both sides, left and right, for the first time in a long time, was on the same page. Many of the, almost all, if not all, of the prominent conservative radio talk show hosts at the time were all in agreement about how terrible this was, and they were all talking about how we need to find out what happened and how to fix this thing. Because everybody saw it, because it was COVID, everybody was on lockdown, everybody saw it. Then what happened? What happened after that? What happened the next day? I'll tell you what happened the next day. The accusations from the left started flying the next day. And it didn't stop. And then the riots. So from the day 2 onwards, the right was on the defensive. And it all went to shit after that. Almost like somebody planned that. Yeah. Maybe that was done on purpose.
Grew. Then it became Black Lives Matter. Then it was defund the police. And of course, then the Trump bandwagon starts moving in the opposite direction and say, these are the enemy within. these are the people we need to crack down on. They want to defund the police. And so it only takes a few people on the extreme left to change the narrative completely. And you can see why Donald Trump might hope that we don't want too much time spent examining, how the bullets went into that car and killed a 37-year-old mother of 3. You want to focus on the Antifa. And so protests.
Except that's what we've been doing. It's what everybody's been doing for the past 2-3 days now. You just watch the video and you can tell what happened. You can see it.
Actually help him. And that is the kind of dystopian world we're in, where he kind of, the more there is a reaction, the more that the MAGA movement can say, look at these dreadful people.
Which is why Tim Walz, the governor, is saying, stay calm, feel free to protest, exercise your right, but keep it peaceful, which so far people have.
I suppose if it hasn't happened already, the next stage of the process will be the people.
All right. Let's see, what else did I want to look at here? Yeah. It's all about the oil, stupid. Yeah, it was. Stopping drug cartels was obviously a bonus, but that's a second order effect of getting that oil. Oh, what does this lady got to say? Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna stop it right here. I think I already know what this lady's gonna say.
I want to start by speaking to the loved ones of Renee Nicole Good. I am so sorry for your loss. I hope that the memories you cherish offer some small comfort to you in the days that follow. Earlier this week, our community witnessed a horrific event on our streets. Some saw it in person, and many more have seen it circulating online. Whatever your opinion is about what happened, this was a traumatic event. Since this happened, I've been on the phone and in meetings with law enforcement, justice leaders, elected officials, discussing ways to ensure a thorough and transparent investigation, how that can occur, and be shared with our office. On Wednesday, our immediate focus was ensuring that an agreement could be reached for a joint investigation with the BCA and the FBI. To be clear, and I want to be very clear about this is not because we have concerns about the FBI investigation.
Time for an ad, I guess. World of Warships. I've never played that game. Looks cool. I played World of Tanks. Long time ago. Used to play it quite a bit. This looks an awful lot like World of Tanks, but with ships. Yeah, just skip the
Our
ad.
efforts in advocating for a joint investigation is not an attack on the FBI. We have had a strong working relationship with the local FBI field office throughout my administration. Based on a previous experience with FBI processes, we are concerned that evidence obtained in an investigation that has only been conducted at the federal.
Maybe I was wrong. I could have been wrong. Maybe I judged too soon.
Level will not be shared with our office for review. In the past, the FBI has invited us to see a high-level overview of their investigation, but we were prohibited from seeing the entire investigation or talking about what we saw in that PowerPoint publicly. While I respect the FBI's process, our community's expectations are much different in terms of transparency. This community expects to understand what the evidence is and the justification for any decision that might be made. To that end, I cannot overstate the importance of a local investigation, or at least access to the federal investigation by the BCA. Without it, we will not have the ability to be transparent with our community about the results of the expectation, or, as I said, any decision that might come of the review. And let me be clear, we have no preconceived opinion on what the evidence will show. Making a charging or decline decision in an officer-involved case requires us to evaluate the evidence in the context of complicated legal issues. For that reason, we cannot reach a conclusion about any outcome here. Our goal must be to ensure that a thorough investigation is completed at the local level so that our community can have transparency. We do not yet know if there will be sufficient evidence without the FBI case file to even make a charging decision. The FBI currently has, for example, Ms. Good's car, the shell casing, and witness interviews. The FBI has taken the car, and so any forensic analysis that comes from that would not be available to us unless they were sharing that. To be clear, when a state investigation happens by the BCA or any local agency, they submit the case to our office for evaluation of potential charges. The BCA does not make recommendations about what we should be doing. They simply submit the entire case file to us, and our legal professionals take a look at it and decide what the appropriate action is. That is the normal process that we've had here since about 2020. Law enforcement investigates, our office reviews to determine if there is enough evidence to even make a decision. And if there is evidence to review, we have jurisdiction to make that decision. So let me be clear here. We do have jurisdiction to make this decision that happened in this case where her life was taken in Hennepin County. It does not matter that it was a federal law enforcement agent. To be sure, there are complex legal issues involved when a federal law enforcement officer is involved. But the law is clear.
Whoops.
We do
Kept
have
losing it.
jurisdiction to make this decision. We cannot make any decision, however, if there is not evidence submitted to our office. So we are moving forward in collaboration with the Attorney General's office and the BCA to preserve any evidence and ensure that it can be reviewed. To that end, we are asking those in our community who have information or who have video or photos of the event to submit that information to our office. We are providing a secure link where people can submit this evidence. The link can be accessed using the QR code.
Wait a second. Hold on a minute. What'd you say prior to that? I missed it.
If there is not evidence submitted to our office. So we are moving forward in collaboration with the Attorney General's office and the BCA to preserve any evidence and ensure that it can be reviewed. To that end, we are asking those in our community who have information or who have video or...
So they're going to do their own investigation, separate from the FBI. It looks like.
Or photos of the event to submit that information to our office. We are providing a secure link where people can submit.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, guys, and say that when they conclude their investigation, their conclusion is going to be different than what the FBI concludes.
Along with the evidence itself,
How much you want to bet?
people to provide contact information so investigators can follow up. Because it is important to collect and preserve evidence properly, we ask people to provide accurate and complete information on the form on our website. I know our community wants fast answers. I know this city feels again as if it is at the center of a national fight as you are processing everything that is happening here. And I wish I could promise
You voted for it.
swift decision.
That's what you wanted.
The resolution that you want, but I cannot promise you that right now.
Tim Walz and his administration didn't just waltz in one day and take control. You had to vote for them.
We will continue to work around the clock to preserve, gather, and review as much evidence as we possibly can. We will be transparent with you to the degree that we can. We know that there will continue to be many questions. This is an active investigation, and I do not want to jeopardize any future decisions or processes, so there are likely to be many questions that we cannot answer right now. We know what our job is. It's not to play politics, but to ensure a thorough investigation, seek justice, and to be fair to all involved. And we are committed to doing that. Here's our Attorney General, Keith Holtz.
Thank you, County Attorney Moriarty. Thank you for gathering us today. I just want to be perfectly clear. The precious life of Renee Nicole Good was important. She's a mother of 3, including a 6-year-old child whose father passed away a few years ago.
Why were your people not out there? Why were your officers not out there preventing this young woman and other people like her from impeding the ICE agents from doing their job?
She died trying to be a legal assistant to legal observer to look out for the...
No. You don't get to block federal agents. You do not get to impede the work of federal agents or local police or anything like that, and then and call yourself an observer. No. No, this is not a serious person.
And she leaves behind a lot of people who love and admire her. There's a lot of people who have a very big interest in this case, including the officers involved. They have an important interest. The fact is, we have an interest as state prosecutors, which is what we both are, in fairness, in transparency, and to the degree that is possible to set forth a process which, when it's over, fair-minded people can say, well, as good and just of a job that could be done was done. I think I agree with County Attorney Moriarty. There is no conclusion that anyone can reach in good faith at this time, because there's too much evidence still to be evaluated. Now, what we're doing here is asking the public who may have video. There may be people who were on the scene, who saw what happened, who have some type of evidence that they feel bears on what the truth is in this case, and they can use that QR code as this evidence submission portal. The evidence will go to the Minnesota BCA, who will gather it. And we wanted to make sure that as the moments go by, every moment in these cases is precious, and it is important that people know where they can go to share the evidence that they have in their possession. And so that's the idea here. So I know if you are someone who has direct information and you have information that you feel should be shared, please use this portal and share that information. Don't judge for yourself whether it's very important or not very important. Let the people who are evaluating and gathering the evidence make that decision. But if you have information bearing on the outcome of this matter in any way, please share it. And I will say many of you in the press may ask the question, is this a state investigation? Well, gathering evidence is certainly a component of an investigation. We are going to do the best that we can do for the public, knowing that the current posture of the federal, and this is not a critique of them, it's just a statement of fact, the current posture is that the investigation is one that the feds want to do without state involvement.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
We
Yep.
still know that there's evidence out there, and we want to make sure it gets gathered and collected, and we'll deal with those other matters of joint versus exclusive later. But as for now, we want to make sure the evidence that may be out there in the public lands where it should. And so with that, I guess, any other comments to be made?
No,
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah.
One, please, one at a time.
You said the BCA is saving evidence with.
Okay. So yeah, they're going to do their own investigation. Looks like. Let's see what else we got here.
When he got killed, shot him in the head. And a friend told me the James Baldwin quote, if they take me in the morning, they're going to come for you in the night. You didn't think it had anything to do with you when they were killing black and brown people. You didn't think it had anything to do with you when they were terrorizing Latino and East African students at Minneapolis Roosevelt High School. And then they come out here and kill a white woman, and you see a piece of yourself in it. And you have a fraction of the experience that we as black men have had for a very long time, seeing ourselves in the bodies of Jamar Clark, of Dalal Eid, of George Floyd, of Terrence Franklin, seeing in all of it. And now you see yourself in it a little bit. And you have an opportunity. Take a look around you and who is saying nothing. Take a look around you who has supported this. Take a look around you and look at the candidates that you can vote for.
Yes. Vote for people who are going to put a stop to allowing this sort of thing to happen.
And then also take a look around you and look at the uniforms that are doing nothing about it. That are doing absolutely nothing about it.
That's right. They're not allowed to. The people that you voted for are not allowing your law enforcement to aid ICE. If there had been police officers there on the street, your police officers there on the street, that killing could have been prevented, because those police officers could have cordoned off that area and kept that woman away from there, kept her from blocking the road, and then she would still be alive right now.
If they take me in the morning, they will come for
But
me in the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Toussaint. Next, we will hear from Eliza Darris, the Executive Director of the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Please welcome him.
I, like many of the activists and organizers and advocates.
I think this is probably going to be all this people making excuses for it, man. Making excuses.
begin this hour watching Minnesota and Portland, Oregon, protesting, in some cases in those areas turning violent, not free speech, but all-out chaos. And in Minneapolis, it's following the ICE-involved shooting. The victim there we're learning more about, known as
This was yesterday.
this with some ties to some interesting people and groups. Portland, Oregon, 2 shootings overnight. I should say 2 people shot overnight, tied to Trinde Aragua, according to the Department of Homeland Security. We will get into all of it this hour. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Things got pretty ugly in Minnesota last night.
You going out, doggo? There you go. Go get him.
Federal agents arrested at least 12 people there last night, and calling them protesters at this point, let's move into agitators, and if they prove crimes against them, we'll call them criminals. Agents were forced to use tear gas and pepper balls to disperse the agitators. And tensions are also high around the investigation into that shooting. State officials are now urging the federal government.
I don't think I like that classification of calling them agitators. I mean, there's agitators there, sure, but most of them are just protesting.
To let them be part of the probe. Well, they were, but the federal government has jurisdiction. And now the feds are arguing Minnesota does not have that legal jurisdiction. They don't. Here's Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry.
You got nothing to hide from, then don't hide from it. Include local experts in the process. We got nothing to hide from here. All we want in Minneapolis is justice and the truth.
And of course, before he could go further, he had to explain why he was dropping F-bombs and promised not to make any more. But he wants us to find experts. I hope he doesn't consider himself one. Well, just into Fox now. Brand new video from the Daily Mail. Watch this closely. I've only seen it once, right before we came to air. Their reporting shows the woman killed, Renee Nicole Good, was already blocking the road for 4 minutes before that confrontation with ICE agents.
Yeah, we already know that. She'd been blocking the road. They've been telling her to get out of there.
Begin filming, which we know she was continuing to do throughout this whole thing. We're also learning more about the woman whom agents killed in that shooting. Sources saying that Nicole Renee Good was an immigrant.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? She was radicalized by these people, turned into a warrior on the left.
Immigration activist who was part of a left-wing group that would monitor and interfere with federal immigration enforcement operations. In fact, on the ground that very afternoon this week, you could hear the whistle blowing. It's something that they're known to do so that they can tell the neighborhood that ICE agents are in the area. Former acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf is coming up with me in focus. Before that, Fox team coverage, Christina Coleman in Portland.
And that's how I know that lady earlier, that eyewitness lady that we were watching earlier. She already knows. She knows what the whistles are. She's probably half in it, if not fully in it. She's not an impartial witness.
With more on the arrest there. Yes, and then first, Alexis McAdams in Minneapolis with the latest there. Alexis.
Hi, Harris. Well, you've been seeing it on your screen. Yesterday, we checked in with you in front of the federal building where there were all those protesters. We're expecting more again tonight and counting. And as you said, the mayor here in Minneapolis didn't drop an F-bomb today, but he didn't tell people not to, act out, because we've seen it where they're spitting and fighting with these federal agents. So I want to see what's going to happen again today. This comes as it's almost as if on the ground, Harris, the state and the local officials are watching a completely different video clip than the feds, because the city officials say it's murder, the feds say it was justified, but it led to those protests, and also this picture that we're going to show you too on your screen. So this is Renee Nicole Good. We're learning that she was an activist, according to DHS sources. You tell me she was part of this group called ICE.
So see, it's good. They're just going to keep doing. They're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep encouraging their own officials, their own elected officials and appointed officials are just going to keep encouraging people to go out. and engage in this behavior that got this young woman killed. This is they want these things to happen. They've been wanting it. They don't care about this woman. They don't care about her child that doesn't get to see their mom anymore. And to be fair, she should have been worried about her child not seeing her ever again herself. You know, she does. Uh, she is culpable for her own actions, um, or responsible for her own actions. But so are the people in charge who should know better. She didn't know better. She was just a fool. She's a babe. She was a baby warthog. She got caught by the lion.
Watch. And we heard about it in other places, not just Minnesota. These people go out, they call themselves legal observers, but they're not just observing according to the feds. Renee Nicole Good was using her car as a weapon, according to the federal prosecutors. They say she hit an agent with her car, and investigators say, it's just so cold, sorry, say that she was with this group that monitors, tracks, interferes, and are against all federal immigration enforcement. Listen to this.
This individual, the subject in question, the deceased, had been following our law enforcement throughout the day, stalking them. At the time of this incident, our law enforcement was outside of their vehicle, trying to get their vehicle out of the snow, when she started blocking our law enforcement, harassing them, impeding lawful operations on the ground.
Yeah, we already knew that.
And then it would kind of ebb and flow.
Yeah, we already knew that. And she's been trained to do that. She's been trained, not only trained, but encouraged by her own elected officials to be doing these things. The people in authority who should be warning their people not to do this, and not only warning people, but actively keeping people from doing these things. Your officers should have been there in the streets keeping the pedestrians back so that ICE can conduct their operations. Why were your police not there? Where are your guys? Where were your guys? What were they doing?
When it comes to the ongoing protests, because they hear those city officials saying something, act out, put your body in the line, whatever they're telling these people to do. They're setting up encampments that were cleared this morning, but they faced off with federal agents, Harris. Some of them spat on people. They fought with them. This is what we saw. Watch. And if that wasn't enough, some people thought that they were going to block these agents from leaving the federal building. So they jumped on their cars. One of them tried to smack off the side rear view mirror. And some of them got arrested, because whether you like these federal officials or not, or you have questions, you can't attack federal agents. So back out here live. The last thing, too, that I really think could be the big part of the story here is.
Imagine that. You can't attack federal agents.
Is at the White House, and federal investigators are looking into who funds these ICE watch groups, who trains these people to tell them, hey, show up here, get in the middle of an ICE ongoing operation. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and we're also hearing reports about people who are wearing yellow vests who look like they're official on the streets, but they're not. And that's what's helping out those blockades like what we saw in South Minneapolis. Hydrate, stay warm. I was covering on the streets of Minnesota a lot. I know how cold it can get, my friend. Great reporting. Thank you.
It is. Thank you.
Hundreds of agitators in Portland, Oregon last night. Maybe they showed up to protest, maybe some of them could, but then it turned into that. And now border agents have shot 2 suspected criminal illegal immigrants because they're there on a mission to get those people, and they did, Officers say they arrested 6 people during all the chaos of the protesting against them doing their jobs. DHS is sharing more details.
Yeah. Just getting in the way of them doing their jobs. They're actually trying to get the bad guys.
About that particular incident, and the driver allegedly a member of the violent Venezuelan gang Nicaragua, so they knew that, and the passenger was affiliated with the transnational prostitution ring. That's who they were looking for. Agents say the pair tried to run them over. Despite that violence, Portland's mayor had harsh words against law enforcement.
There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time is long past. That is why we are calling on ICE to halt all operations in Portland until a full and independent investigation can take place.
So would that mean that the Portland mayor, Keith Wilson, is actually wanting to defend and protect the illegal aliens who are doing further crimes, violent crimes in our country?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, you should put them in jail. Yeah, you got to start putting these people in jail. You got to start making sure that they understand that just because they're politicians, that they don't get to do this kind of stuff to their own people and to their neighbors. You know, you don't live in a vacuum. When you invite these illegal immigrants who are criminals, who also are really bad people, it affects everybody else around you. Right? You do not live in a vacuum. We live in a society.
It's a question for him. Christina Coleman is in Portland now with more. Christina.
Hi, Harris. Yes, DHS says the driver of that suspect vehicle is believed to be a member of TDA, that vicious Venezuelan gang. Authorities say after the shooting, he fled the scene and called 911 for help. Take a listen to the dispatch audio.
Police are en route. It looks like caller saying that he was shot twice by ICE and his wife was shot as well. We have a male who was shot twice in the arm and his wife who was shot in the chest. Your talk group is going to be Ops 1. Stand by for additional dispatch.
DHS identified both suspects in this case as criminal illegal aliens from Venezuela who were released into the country under the Biden administration since 2022. They say since then, the driver, the man you see there, was arrested for DUI and unauthorized use of a vehicle. And they say the woman has played an active role in the TDA.
So this guy's been out there drinking and driving and putting your people and your children at risk from a drunk driver. Where are the mad mothers at? Where are the mad mothers?
The target of this traffic stop was a female, 32. She's a affiliate of Nicaragua. She is involved in a prostitution ring.
Both suspects were injured in the shooting. Their conditions are unknown at this time. There are no reports of any injuries to law enforcement. Portland police say the shooting occurred yesterday afternoon in the parking lot of a hospital in southeast Portland. DHS says the shooting happened after Border Patrol agents carried out that targeted vehicle stop. They said in part, quote, when agents identified themselves, the driver attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. Fearing for his life and his safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. Local leaders held a press conference after the shooting. Portland's Democratic mayor is calling on ICE to stop all operations in the city until a full and independent investigation into the incident takes place. And the governor also supports the mayor's request.
Our community deserves answers. Our community deserves accountability. And most of all, our community deserves peace. Portland is not a training ground for militarized agents.
Now, following the shooting, protesters
Here we go.
gathered here at
the ICE facility. There were scuffles between
Why
some of
is
them
this
and law enforcement. Portland police
keep
arrested
doing that?
6 of them for various charges, including riot, disorderly conduct, and interfering with a peace officer. Now, this is where many anti-ICE protests have taken place last year. Portland police say to date there's been at least 79 arrests related to all of this anti-ICE protest activity. Back to you.
Christina, thank you very much. I want to bring in now Chad Wolf, former acting Homeland Security Secretary. So the situation.
Maybe I got too many programs running at once.
Give me your top line thoughts on how this is unfolding.
Well,
it just does not seem to want to work right, does it? Come on in there, pup.
They will
Come
come
on.
out, the agitators, the violent opportunists, they come out at a moment's notice, and they will do all sorts.
Yep, they do all sorts of things. What the heck is this? Valorant. Why is this being all funky? Jeez. See, look at this. And I bet, yeah, see, it says before incident, but, you know, during the incident, yeah. Yeah, he was in front. We've seen that video. Yeah, these are all pretty old videos. All right. Well, I think I may be ending the stream there for now. I got stuff I got to do. I got some editing to do. Get a video out on my YouTube channel, which reminds me. Let's see. I've got my Discord on there now. I need to get my YouTube channel on there. And my X or Twitter account. Probably play some games or something later. I don't know what I want to play though. Maybe some. I was playing World of Warcraft earlier. I might play some more World of Warcraft. I was getting kind of into it. Classic. World of Warcraft Classic. It's the only real World of Warcraft left. It's a boomer game, but I am a boomer gamer, so. Yeah. All right, fellas. Everybody, I hope you all have a good day. Stay out of the way of ice. That should be the lesson everybody learns from this today. for the past couple days. Stay the hell out of their way. Do what you're told. The man with the gun is telling you to do something. Do it. That's my judgment. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.